'cause I don't know why we all couldn't just let it be. We're looking for answers I don't wanna see. And why does it have to be me?
Hello, listener, to It's Talky, where I bring us on a journey with Scanner, a senior youth correspondent across the world of webcomics, specifically through this little thing called the Walkieverse. Introduce yourself, Scanner.
Hello, my name is Scanner. They, them.
Alright. And my name's Hasrel. They, them. Alright, I'm definitely going to need your youth here for what we're going through.
I really like the oxymoron there of senior youth correspondent.
Yeah. Look, it's very good. I don't know who I'm stealing the joke from, but thank you, whoever. But yeah. Let's start, as we normally do, with, hey, what was the past like? But we're going to focus on mainly the pop culture right now. Hey, what was the Billboard Top 100 like?
Oh, in the few months since it's happened.
Yeah, it's been multiple months. And in those multiple months, we have brand new 90s artist Elton John with Candle in the Wind.
Oh, hell yeah.
1997 version.
What's different about the 1997 version?
I don't know.
I mean, I guess people must have liked whatever he changed, since it's number one.
He added drums and bass.
Ah, yeah.
I wish. I'm pretty sure it's just a re-recording. We got
Elton John Megamix to play rally like games on the PS1 too.
Mm-hmm. Got Been Around the World with Puff Daddy and the Family.
Mm-hmm.
Together again with Janet. And we'll skip down a little. Truly, Madly, Deeply, number 6, Savage Garden. It's moving up in the world.
Oh, hell yeah.
And for a boys band, a Song for Mama by Boys to Men.
Nowadays they're just men.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I'm sure that in 20 years, a different country other than cool Japan or cool Britannia will not have another boy band craze. Right? And in number 14, we have the incredibly political band with the incredibly political song, Dub Thumping, by Chumbawamba.
Did that just come out?
No, because it's moving down, so it must have been out for a little bit.
Oh yeah, late 1997.
Yep.
Where it will move into the sort of number 90 position, where it will remain for the next 25 years.
Yeah. All right, and what you got in alternative?
Yes, I did have a look at like what like music was coming around like in the indie scene around this time. Purely on a whim, I was like thinking, well, comics are like a indie in the sense that they're sort of mostly produced by amateurs. They're not really like published by Marvel and DC, although some of them are now.
We'll get into that.
We will get into that. But I did have a look at like what would people in the indie scene be listening to around then. So got Music Is the Right to Children by Boards of Canada, classic like IDM, like downtempo, like techno record. Stratosphere by Duster. They funnily enough have had like a bit of sort of like mimetic resurgence because of like one specific song that got used in TikToks.
Thank you, TikTok.
Thank you, TikTok. Same with like Pavement, actually. Pavement also got like really popular via one song on TikTok.
And shockingly, it's not old people on TikTok. It's
it's young people, which is who would have been listening to Pavement in the 1990s.
Yeah.
So that's something for like the 20-year-olds and the 40-year-olds to like share that they've got in common, that they both like this like slacker rock band. But Shape of Punk to Come by Refused.
And unfortunately, classic, the Shape of Punk to Come was pop punk.
Yeah, that's another thing, is that like you can sort of see like the beginnings of the next like decade of music here with like what the kinds of music that was like coming out that would then be like massively like influential.
Well, the 90s do last until 2001.
They
Someday
do.
in 2001, we'll figure it out.
And then,
We'll fight over which number comes first.
Yeah. Then February of 1998, In the Aeroplane Over the Sea by Neutral Milk Hotel, an album which I believe was not particularly popular at the time and only sort of like became popular in like the decades after via the internet. So it was interesting looking at this because I was like, what were, you know, people listening to that weren't listening to stuff on the radio? And a lot of it is stuff that is like more popular after it came out. And is more popular because of the internet, which I suppose is in one way tying this to webcomics. I didn't expect it to be as tied to it as much as I thought I would.
Yeah, it turns out the having a whole new way to publish stuff, it changes multiple mediums.
Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking of a medium that does not currently have a way to publish new stuff, the box office. Number one by this little filmmaker, James Cameron, Titanic.
Hell yeah. Titanic does come up in this comic.
Sure does.
This is a good reminder that now exists.
Yeah, if you existed in the late 90s, Titanic would always come up, no matter what.
Mm-hmm. So that's currently at number one and will remain at number one, technically, until Avatar, I believe, right?
Yeah. Strangely not Battle Angel Alita.
Yeah, do people not care about that one as much?
That's strangely no.
People like when the eyes are far apart, but they don't like them when they're big.
Yeah, the people can be big, but the eyes have to be small.
Yeah.
Then we have As Good As You Get, which is just a character piece with comedy. You know, as number two, the second highest gross.
Yeah, I'm looking this up now. Would you believe I'm not familiar with this one?
Yeah. And Mouse Hunt by DreamWorks. You might think DreamWorks, that means it's animated. No, live action. It's just, you know, they're trying to hunt a mouse and they fuck up.
Mm. That was back in like DreamWorks' more experimental era where they were like trying out anything to try and compete with Disney, and then Shrek was like the accidental hit, and then that became what they made from then on. Yeah,
they were like, look, I want Disney did not give me the keys to the kingdom. They gave it to some other fucker, so I'm gonna make my own movie studio.
Mm-hmm.
And it made some really good 2D animated movies that did not do Disney numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And then Shrek came along. And
Shrek,
unfortunately,
which was referred to as sorry?
Yeah, go ahead.
Shrek, which was referred to by the animators who were working on, I believe, Prince of Egypt at the time, which was considered their, like, you know, real film. They're like, you know, very expensive, very gorgeous, like 2D animated film meant to compete with whatever Disney was releasing at the time. And Shrek was referred to by those animators as jail. It's where you got sent if you know, weren't liked by management or weren't, you know, putting in enough hours. That was considered the trash product. It was also like worst and like cheaper to be working on. And then, you know, we know which one of those ended up being the massive success and which one ended up being mostly forgotten, except for like people posting GIFs of its animation on the internet and being like, fuck man, this is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Why didn't people care about this at the time?
Unfortunately, the Prince of Egypt we were at the end of the Disney Renaissance. We wanted the fart jokes. And unfortunately, our boys, the Air Force One, are down to 5.
Oh no! Now they're Air Force 5.
But yeah, there's our movies.
There's our movies.
All right, and we're gonna start this one off with, what's a comic? Because we haven't to talk about where webcomics came from. We have to talk about the comic strip.
Mm-hmm.
As it exists in the newsed paper.
Mm-hmm.
We will later have to talk about the comic book, where you put a bunch of comics into a book, like a small magazine, and it's only one comic, maybe multiple comics.
Mm-hmm.
But that's got to come up. While it does kind of exist in this era, it is not what we're pulling from at this moment, nor most webcomics at the time. Yeah, let's start at the start of comic strips. So 19th dynasty of Egypt, after Akhenaten did the whole Henithism, and they were like, what if we do some funny animals doing human things on a scroll or some shards back in the new? No, I'm joking. Actually, what we're starting at with, Scanner, what do you know about rocks?
What do I know about rocks?
What's a rock?
It's a bunch of like sediment all compacted together.
Yeah. We're talking about that because lithography. If you want to like reproduce a drawing, you need something to do that. And wood doesn't work. Wood works okay, but if you want to make it a lot, turns out smashing wood against stuff, wood doesn't hold up well. But rock does really good. And so, like, around the it was invented in like 1796. And it got like more popular and perfected around 1840. So you started getting, illustrated magazine stuff from doodling on a rock, covering it in acid, and then that makes the little parts you doodle on raised up. And you can print whatever you doodled on it, specifically comics. And like, this was a very popular art form. You'd have posters, you'd have like, little like wood prints or an entire series of things like the Harlot's Journey. And then somebody was like, this is getting cheap enough that we can make an entire magazine with words and pictures. And so that's when we start getting stuff like Punch. Something from your area. Which is, hey, I will make another reference you won't get. It's kind of like Mad Magazine, which is to say, it's a humor magazine about like satire, current events. Put little drawings of like either things about fashion, maybe some current event politics as caricatures, maybe a little racism,
maybe a little, as is common for British magazines to this day.
And then when like somebody was like in America was like, what if we up the racism dial? That's how we got Puck.
I should say I am familiar with Mad Magazine, not from ever having read it, but purely from it being like referenced in stuff like The Simpsons.
But yeah, so you had these illustrated newspapers, these magazines and all that, just spreading across the world through the 1900s. By world, I mean, Western Europe and the US mainly. But hey, if that's enough for a world war, it's enough for anything. And then, around 1852, somebody thought, okay, what if we use the Gavure, I can't remember how to pronounce it now, the process where you take a copper plate, you put some smooths on it, and put it in the sun so it hardens, and then you cover that copper plate in acid, and wherever that stuff hardens, that's where it's going to get protected, and everywhere else gets eaten away. But instead of giving little high spots, it gives low spots, which means you can put it in a big cylinder and print real quick, real fast. And that suddenly means, what if we put out a magazine every day every 6 days a week? Maybe 7 if we're not religious and we hate people. And so these newspapers okay, we'll put some comic strips in. But then we got, and that's how we got stuff like the Thailand Kids. Normally by Charles William Salzburg. Normally thought of as one of the first, maybe the first newspaper comic. And it's just a family circus, but the little kids are Chinese. You just little kids doing doing bits in like a single panel.
Mm-hmm.
But because of the time, that single panel was the page. Because, like, you know, adding any typography to your print thing, those were two different processes. So you have an entire page of just the comic. But that didn't really set the world on fire. But you know what did? The Yellow Kid. Okay, I want you to... Why do you think he's called the Yellow Kid? Let's start with that.
I can assume only good reasons. What a scary title.
For once, yeah, he's just a little kid, head shaved, in a big, like, you know, yellow long shirt dress thingy. And that was created by like Richard F. Occult in 1895. And like for a while, Yellow Kid didn't even have color. Because color was more expensive, but let's talk about the reason the Yellow Kid got started.
People were very confused because they were looking at him and thinking, this is a grey kid. Who does this title refer to?
But yeah. Why did it get started? To sell newspapers. Specifically on Sunday. So Pulitzer, you might know him from some other things involving newspapers. He was like, Look, I know there's this Sabbath thing, but this ain't my Sabbath. This is the Christian Sabbath. So what if I do a big special edition on Sunday? Nobody else is going to compete with me. And what if we put a really big comic in there?
Mm-hmm.
And we do color? And this sold like hotcakes. So popular. Yeah, so popular that William Rudolph Hearst, you might also know him from some newspaper things in the future, and just outright like stole Richard Occult, and so but because of the weird copyrights at the time, you got two different Yellow Kids in two newspapers.
It's just like Dennis the Menace.
Yeah, except they're actually the same kid. But note, these are two incredibly trashy newspapers.
Mm-hmm.
And so they became known as Yellow Papers. And what's inside of them? Yellow journalism.
That's crazy that's the origin of that term. I did not know that.
Yeah. So thank you, the Yellow Kid, for sinking the Maine and getting the U.S. into the Spanish-American War.
Jesus.
But yeah. So yeah, that's the start of like both of the, and a lot of paper things at the time. That's how they were. You would have a comic that was one day a week, and then you would have, you know, 6 or 7 comics cycling through the week, each with their specific day. Oh yeah, and let me show you example of both the Thailand Kids and the Yellow Kid.
Okay, and we'll include these images in the show notes also.
Yeah, I'm gonna be giving you plenty of images, which is good for audio podcast.
Damn, look at that color! It makes me want to buy it already. That is a gorgeous like black letter. Like font at the top also. The Tinglings go a fishing.
Yeah, and it's just bunch of kids going fishing. That's it. All right, where's my Yellow Kid?
Yeah, well, you get these up. Basically, to give a sort of very summarized version of this, the early history of comics, rather, is that something that you could call a comic or a cartoon has existed since, about the same time as the written word. You pointed out, like,
yeah,
like ancient Egyptian, like hieroglyphics and their like use of, animal people. You can go before that and look at like cave paintings of things. But how to say this? The things that like first get called cartoons and get called comics are like when the technology becomes available to reproduce like images drawn by an artist, and print those onto a page. So first with lithography and with copper plate roll printing. To start with, they are usually single images that tell enough of a story, or enough of a joke usually, that you don't need continuous ones. This is, where you get the classical idea of a political cartoon, where it's, a guy with like a sash on it. There's the deficit.
But yeah, and there's the yellow kid. And you might notice a lot of tableaus.
Yeah.
But hey, that's another thing the yellow kid popularized. Not just panels, the idea of having panels, and the idea of having word bubbles.
Mm-hmm.
These had been around for 100, 200 years or longer. We see scrolls coming out of the mouth of saints and stuff in drawings time immemorial. As long as you have, a literate and artistic thing, people are going to be like, how do I make words come out of somebody's mouth when I get a little drawing?
Yeah, you need someone to... Sorry.
Yeah, and the yellow kid started out with, we just put writing on their clothes. And then it was like, no, what if we do a little thing that goes to their mouth? Done.
Yeah, you need some way to communicate that a character in a scene is saying words. And many people independently have invented various ways of doing it. You can look at the biotapestry as an that. But eventually everyone sort of lands on a little box to delineate that it's separate, and then an arrow to indicate who it's coming from. And how exactly that looks changes, because again, people are inventing this independently from each other for now. But they all kind of land on a similar thing. Because it's sort of immediately visually obvious what it is.
Largely thanks to newspaper comics and the illustrated news and things like that. Because suddenly you have a bunch of people in communication with each other, seeing each other's art and be like, oh yeah, that worked for them, maybe I should try that, back and forth. Because before, it was just, you would have maybe your monastery, maybe your little group of friends, doing your doodles. It's not like you could, send your pot shard that you drew the funny animal cutting grain to a bunch of people. You would have to just redraw that image over and over again. Yeah, but as you can see, we got the start of it, and then it takes off. You get Crazy Cat, which is by George Herman, where you get surrealism, you get slapstick, and also Crazy Cat it just swaps between genders like every other comic or inside the comic. It feels a lot more like what we would consider an underground comic now.
Mm-hmm.
And they're great. And also you have Little Nemo and Slumberland coming around in 1905 by Windsor Kay, which is the maturation of this format where you just have these beautiful panel layouts about these dreamlike worlds. And one of the characters definitely is just some good old minstrel show shit. But other than that, it's beautiful. You just ignore the racism.
Yeah. Again, another fine tradition continued to this day of extremely racist comics.
Yeah, let me show you the Little Nemo so you can understand.
While you get this image up, a little etymology lesson. If you're wondering where the terms come from, comic. This one's pretty obvious. Comes from the word comedy. Because again, these were primarily used to be funny. They were funny little illustrations that would go in a newspaper, alongside some political events to make fun of them. And a cartoon comes from the Italian word cartone, which is an unfinished sketch, essentially. It's before a painter would work on the final thing, they would sketch rough versions of it. And then so calling something a cartoon meant to say that it looked as if it was unfinished, that it was just line work, that it wasn't a full painting. So I'm looking at this image now. This looks remarkably like a modern comic.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see the art form has grown and it's become a thing. And also because a lot of these Sunday comics were once a week, you could have these, everybody had time to do, 4 really good pages a month. Unlike what would happen with comic books, where you're like, no, I gotta get a comic book out a month. That's 20 pages, maybe more. But yeah, and then it just starts expanding away from just strictly funny stuff. You start getting the adventure comics. Your Buck Rogers in 1929, your Prince Valiant in 1937. And it's just, a huge explosion through the 20s, the late 20s and the early 30s, where it's like, all right, we're using this large format. We can tell a serialized story about action adventure. So you get all your space adventures, your adventures in, back in England with Prince Arthur, or whatever you want. All the stuff that was really expensive to do in, live action. Also, in this time period, we get Gasoline Alley by Frank King, which is the longest still running comic book to this day in 1918.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And what's crazier is, all the characters age 1 year by year. 1 year real time is 1 year for them. Don't worry, there's a 124-year-old man currently in the comic.
I was about to say, is anyone from the original run still alive, or is it like an entirely new cast of characters now?
Most of the ones from the original run are dead. Some of the ones from the second generation are dead. We're like on the fourth or fifth generation with this one comic set in just this small town.
Can I imagine picking up that day's copy of the Chicago Tribune, and it's the funeral cartoon for a character who has just died of old age?
Yeah. It happens. But yeah, that, and and also during this era, during 1914, we get Hearst and Konigsberg starting King's Feature Syndicate Inc., which is a big syndication for comics, word puzzles, little games to put in your newspaper, and articles. So that makes it where you go from, you need a couple newspapers that you personally can go run around and talk and get them to run your comic in it, and to where you can be in hundreds, thousands of comics, thousands of newspapers all across the U.S. And that turns it from where a couple people are making enough to live to where a bunch of people are making middle class lifestyle. You could live being a newspaper comic artist. If you got syndication, yeah, you had it made in that, oh yeah, I can pay my bills, I can have an okay car and a house. Not very few people got rich, but a lot of people got, okay, I'm doing all right. And that kind of this collection of surrealist comedy that the nerds like, action adventure for the teens, your soap operas and your comedies. This had all crystallized during this time period, along with syndication. So things have largely shaken out, although over the next 50, 60 years, the comic page is going to shrink. And also, thanks to syndication, you need to fit these in. So the actual amount that each comic can be shrinking down from full page, half a page, quarter of page, to where it's 3 or 4 columns. That's how we get the modern 1 to 4 panels.
You get half of one row.
Yes. And now we have to go underground. Underground comics with an X.
Exciting.
So yeah, it's the 60s. You know what the 60s loves? Zines. And underground newspapers. And why does it love it so much? You might say, well, the culture is shifting. There's this or that. But also, you got spirit duplicators, hectographs, and mimeographs that make it where, oh yeah, some buddies, you can make a little zine, a little underground newspaper, run off, a dozen copies, maybe a few hundred, have some funny drawings in it, and you can afford it. It makes it where small runs are possible, which means lots of people doing weird shit or boring stuff. And so here you have this whole like culture of like underground newspapers that are like, about the counterculture, the gay scene, whatever, like little local nerd stuff, whatever you want. And also during this time, you've had the Comics Code Authority, which has, cracked down on anything that is immoral. And the syndicates that rule the newspapers. They don't have a Comic Code Authority, but they do have a bunch of rules that sure do parallel that. If you're a little like a newspaper about doing drugs and having sex and rock and roll, is not going to really show up in the Family Country Gazette of Franklin, Illinois. But hey, you know where it will show up with? Your fun little mailing list you got with your friends, or that little newsstand that's just, a bunch of weirdos. So you get this growing thing of like underground, and that's where like stuff like the East Village Other, which was in New York, and it kind of is this incubator for a bunch of underground, like Art Spiegelman, R. Crumb, both got their start in there. And then
I know those names.
Yeah, and then R. Crumb started Zap Comics with an X, and that like turbocharged this whole like little underground comic movement, because it's like, oh wait, we don't even have to be in the little newspapers, or we can collect all our little strips from the little underground, from our zines and our newspapers, into a little floppy thing and sell that. And that's important because most of this stuff, nobody knows about it. Your publication is, if you're a really big underground underground newspaper, you're maybe 10,000, under 100,000 people will see it. And that's only for the local area, but it's a lot easier to just ship a little comic book to a bunch of comic shops and be like, hey, you want to sell this? And that's how this like little underground thing grew and stayed in the public eye. And so you got like, Mr. Natural from Crumb, which took over the world. People loved Mr. Natural. And I will show you a Mr. Natural, which tells you both why he took over the world, and also that he's not a whole lot like a lot of Crumb's stuff. Tell me, what do your thighs see?
Is the guy doing the dishes?
Yeah, he's just doing the dishes, and just moves one mess for the other just so he could have one clean glass.
Amazing. We've all been there.
Yeah, we've all been there. A lot of the good, like, popular undergrounds are just like, stuff we've all been about. Not always, sometimes it's like, yeah, we all know about our weed smoking friends. Sometimes it's just doing the dishes and it's kind of annoying. But underground comics also had a problem. It was a lot of white guys trying to like tackle racism and doing a bad job at it too.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But also it's just a lot of people like, oh man, I could say fuck, and it was not really interesting if you're not somebody who is used to not being able to say the word. It's like, oh yeah, you can say that. Got anything else? No? All right. But yeah, this all like. And then, like, this whole underground movement and the whole college comic newspapers with little local news strips, they all like slowly move into mainstream comics and in the newspaper in the in the 80s, late 70s and 80s. You have the system like just completely running smoothly. It is just, you've got every few years you get a new long runner like Garfield, for better or worse, or Kathy, something that'll last for like 8,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
And you get something like, for the comic nerds, that'll last about a decade, your Far Side, your Calvin and Hobbes. The system had been honed over like 90 years to a smooth machine. And then the internet in the late 90s.
We're finally here.
It's here. Yeah, because it turns out a lot of newspapers were focusing their money on, oh yeah, we need to figure out this whole internet thing. And also, it sure is expensive to put little images on the internets back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm. You can do it, but it has to transmit it line by line.
Yeah. And so like you start this feeder system of new comic blood starts drying up. They're just focusing on the things that they already have, that already work. And that's where webcomics will come in. Alright, so what did we learn?
That's a good question. What did we learn?
Did we learn anything? Alright, that's the answer now. We learned nothing.
Sorry, I wish I had something smart to say. Thank you for that history, though. It's good to know. It's a good setup for where we get with webcomics. That a lot of the reason the things are like this is because of the limitations of the technology.
Yeah.
And with webcomics, that's also true. You know, the internet allows you to do a lot of things, but you know, it's still the early days of the internet and the early days of being able to transmit high res images.
Yeah.
And so you are sort of limited by the amount of like pixel size that you have.
And color's even more expensive. Do you know how many more bits color is?
At least 256, I assume.
Yeah. And who can afford those bits on dial-up? Yeah, I think we've got our history lesson, and now let's move into the modern day of 1998 with this webcomic. Or this webcomic talking about a fake different comic.
Yeah. We're finally at the webcomic that this podcast is ostensibly about, but it felt important to give a little bit of a history of comics in order to give a history of webcomics. If you'd like further reading, sorry, Taz?
Go ahead.
If you'd like further reading, go to a book we mentioned last time, Understanding Comics, by... Last name has escaped me again. Scott McCloud.
Yeah, Scott McCloud. And
also, if you'd like a little bit more history on the development of the technology that facilitated printing, as well as some, sort of political ruminations on it, check out The Work of Art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction by Walter Benjamin. Very good book.
Yep, and I'll give you the 2 books I used to help me do some research on this. Although they are one of them's just mostly just pretty pictures, and the other one is mostly about comic books instead of comic strips.
Mm-hmm. Both useful. Both, I assume, contain the kind of history that's important to understand them, though.
Yeah. And they're both like pre the major split between comic books and comic strips.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. All right. What do you know about RoboVac?
I know it comes from a childhood thing from David Willis, where they made a little robot vacuum guy out of Lego.
Yeah. And then they made a little comic of it to win a contest at a local comic shop.
It's adorable. Before we go into this set of things that we did, I feel like we did a bad job last episode informing the audience what actually happens in this. Partially because very little happens.
Yes.
Partially because it's very easy to say oh, nothing happens. Which I feel is a little bit. I feel a little bit bad dismissing that aspect of the comic and the potential interest people listening might have in what happens. So I wrote a little recap for previously on Roomies.
Previously on
Roomies. Danny and Joe are the titular Roomies! ! They have moved into their dorms at Indiana University. Danny is dating Sal, who has a southern accent. Joe pervs on women. Joyce is a girl at uni who is instantly smitten with Danny, even though he doesn't reciprocate, because he's dating Sal, long distance, brackets. But then, gasp, Sal breaks up with Danny. And yeah, then college and relationship shit happens. We meet other characters like Joyce's roommate and Alex the Egg. At one point, Joe gets abducted by aliens, which I'm told will be important later. And I also have a recap for what happens this week on Roomies, if you would like to hear that.
Ooh, nice. Yeah, let's go ahead.
This time on Roomies, Joe and Danny read an early edition of a comic they like. Read an early edition of a comic they like and fail to find it compelling in a mirror of this exact thing we're doing. Joyce is sad about the end of Titanic, and she dares Joe to see it with her without crying. They don't get on, but they at least have more chemistry than... Sorry, can't speak. I'm going through this too fast. Joyce and Joe don't get on, but they do at least have chemistry, which is more than what Joyce has with Danny. Joe maintains his macho composure, but did still like Titanic. Danny's bike is stalling, decreasing the total happiness in the world. Sal has left home for reasons, brackets, question mark, I'm not quite sure yet. I'm sure we'll get into that later. But it seems she's going through some turmoil and is desperate to meet back up with Danny. She encounters Joyce and Joyce's parents, and they realize who each other are and fight. Danny has a sad birthday. Joe and Joyce look at art. We get a couple interstitial strips. The fourth wall gets broken for the first time, as is a common tradition for webcomics. Joe and Sarah, Joyce's roommate, fall in love, but maybe not. Joe and Danny fuck about and play toys. Joyce is still obsessed with Danny, who is still ignoring her, and the first year ends.
Yeah, nice. Well done. Yeah,
a lot happens, but also kind of nothing happens.
Yeah. Like, there's more plot this time. It is slowly building up.
The end of this week, the author says that they have plot they want to get to, but the year was ending and there wasn't enough time to start it, and so they had to just sort of rush out a few strips of not much happening, like sort of referencing other strips that are in the Indiana State University magazine.
Don't worry, I've got something for that when we get to it.
Oh boy. We talked last week about how nice it is to see this like bit of history be preserved by the author. And when that happens, when it decides to like reference those comics, the author says, I had to look, I couldn't find any whole examples, but I do have like a couple single panels like saved, and then they include a link to it, and then that link is dead. And it's crazy to think that like between the original run of this comic and when it was republished to David Wallace's website in 2012 or so, so much of it had vanished. The only archive of it was what like David had like saved to their own computer. And then in the next 15 years after that, that's gone. Like it disappears like so quickly.
Yeah, people like to say the internet is forever, but it's not. The internet is a constantly decaying thing that only through active effort can we keep it alive.
The internet is theoretically forever, but in practice less forever than most other things.
Yeah. Links rot, people's websites go down, entire like huge multi-million websites vanish from the face of the earth. And what we were left with is archive.org and the Wayback Machine, and they do not have infinite money to hold all the internet. Especially for webcomics where you need images, and they did not have a lot. They had even less money to store images back then. Yeah.
Do we want to start where you started though with RoboVac issue 1?
Yeah. Let's start with issue 1 of RoboVac. This where we get to watch our Danny and Joe read a comic book.
It's very meta. I don't know if the author at the time was aware of how meta this is, but in retrospect, it is very much so. The early part of this comic is reading an early part of a different comic.
I mean, how much this would be the early part of a comic? Who knew at the time?
Yeah, they probably assumed that they would be doing this until university ended, and that was it.
Yeah, well, Willis will later say this is their first project that they were managing to stick to for long periods of time. So
as is difficult.
Yeah, so going through the same characters for the next 30 years was not the plan. But yeah, it's a lot of like, early jokes about early issues of comics from the 30s and 40s.
Yeah, it resembles both a like noir comic and also a like early superhero comic simultaneously.
Yeah. Well, because a lot of those were the same thing.
Yeah.
Also, the Danny Darko bunny shows up.
Also, what? Sorry.
Also, the Danny Darko bunny shows up.
Yeah. Why is he wearing that stupid bunny suit? We get some like Spice Girls hate within the comic, which is like that's like vintage 1998 humor, but does trouble both me and the author in the commentary a bit, which is like, when did this comic come out? How can it be coming out simultaneously to when the characters are reading it, and also be like old enough that it's like rare and hard to get?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when did Roboback get originally published? Who knows? But the important thing is we can make funny jokes in it. It could be worse. Robovac could come back with more jokes.
Mm-hmm. I know they're coming back, because fucking everything is going to come back.
Well, yeah, there's got to be the cartoon, the 3D movie, and also Robovac is a comic book in the new Domain of Age.
Mm-hmm.
By new, I mean 15 years old. But yeah, you get jokes of people who are like, with all the social issues the old comics took care of, and it's just like, no, you're just punching people up.
Mm-hmm.
It turns out the past also had issues of social variety. Yeah, no, but any specifics you want to bring up? Any more you want to talk about with Robovac?
Surprisingly little. It's they do just read a comic.
Yeah.
I have notes on the next section.
So. Yeah. Let's go on to the next section.
Horoscopes. A lot of sort of teasing about people who believe in horoscopes, and then a lot of teasing in the commentary from the author about themselves about believing in Christianity.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. It's weird to see. I don't know what I'm trying to say. It's odd to see like this be a part of the comic. I don't quite know why. It just really stood out to me.
Yeah.
I guess they just had like a real like gear to grind about people who believe in horoscopes.
Yeah. I mean, also horoscopes are very girl coded.
Yeah, that's a thing.
And now
I had noted between the horoscopes, the hate towards the Spice Girls, and also Titanic, which is the next longer section. That it used to be that one of the ways that you would characterize a male character is that they hate girly things, and they hate them because they're girly and girls like them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's I think less common now as a trope for like writing characters, but it was much more common in the 90s and 2000s. I feel.
Yeah, it was one of the three jokes you could do.
The things that girls like are stupid and shallow, and unlike the cool things that boys like, which are about superheroes fighting crime.
Yeah, and little plush teddy bears are bad, but action figures are cool.
Yeah, there's almost an amount of self-awareness here, but I don't know. About the sort of ridiculous of the boys' own hobbies.
I mean, the Transformers thing is just that's just Willis.
Yeah,
but it is teetering on the edge of understanding.
Mm.
We will be teetering on various edges throughout this whole entire reading.
Yeah, the fact that this is here, and like not so critically thought about is at least promising, because it does lead me to think that it will be more like interrogated later on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then we move on to, hey, Titanic. Everyone is talking about Titanic. You cannot breathe the air in 97 without people talking about Titanic.
Mm-hmm.
It was on the radio every single day. It was you had the commercials every day. You had memorabilia commercials every day. You had the two VHS's single box that was required for one Titanic. And yeah, it was a pretty good movie. Turns out this James Cameron fella can make some good ones.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what his next one will be, which will come out definitely very soon, and not take 11 years.
I mean, yeah. I heard he's got a new series he's working on. Battle Angelita.
But yeah, Joyce is very sad about the ending of Titanic, whereas the boys do not seem to care much. And Joe is challenged to a dare, which is to go see the movie with Joyce and try not to cry at the ending, which he manages to do. We get a few little notes about like a guide to not crying at a movie, which is very, very like try hard masculinity stuff. It's very funny.
Yes. Just literally biting your lip till it bleeds so you don't cry.
Yeah, it's fine to be sad at things, guys. If you're a guy and you're listening to this and you're afraid of crying in public, don't be. You're allowed. No one will make fun of you.
Yeah, connect with your emotions. You feeling things makes a movie feel better.
Yeah. We get a mention of the bit in Titanic where the guy falls into the propeller. I bring that up purely so we can put a link to it in the description.
It is a great moment.
It's a great moment, and also like I don't even know if they knew how hysterical that is, because it definitely doesn't feel appropriate for the like tone of the scene.
Yeah, somebody was like, "This is gonna be horrible." Just imagine this guy just falling. He's gonna hit the water, but nope, propeller.
It is horrible. Suck. I wouldn't want to be that guy, but fuck, man, he does go spinning.
Yeah. Well, they hadn't invented like soft body physics yet for CGI, so he just bounces.
Mm. The crazy thing is, I imagine if that happened, that like kind of like would be how it like imparts inertia on you. You would just like go spinning at that speed, and it would look ridiculous, and that would be the last thing you do is like look ridiculous as you're dying.
Yes. But also, you would have a lot of blunt force trauma at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. After Titanic, we get two Bill Clinton jokes.
Yeah, according to the author, in 1998, I was a Republican. I'm glad that's changed for you, man.
It's fucked up that Alex knew about the Epstein Island until like anybody else.
Jesus, dude. Yeah, it turns out everyone in the 90s who hated Bill Clinton was absolutely right to do so, just not for the right reasons.
Yeah. Like, yeah, you should hate him. It's the cheating's not the big thing. It's the abuse of power. Maybe that we should
people hated him for cheating on his wife and introducing a like ban on assault rifles. When really they should have been hating him for much more evil stuff.
Yes. Luckily, we never had an evil president after that.
Yeah, all good guys after that.
Yeah.
I do wonder though, like how are we going to see the politics of the author change if it does like continue to be represented in the comic, if it becomes more of a thing, or if it's not, it doesn't come up at all and purely becomes implicit through what's being written, how we can feel the like authors like politics, personal thoughts and stuff change. Because it's not much here, but it just comes through like little bits at a time. The like Christian fundamentalism and the like 90s republicanism.
You see the warning lights twinkling behind the gutters.
Yeah.
But every so often we also get jokes about how masculine male shampoo should be.
Yeah. You should have one cleaning fluid. It should be a 7-in-1. You should use it for your hair, your face, your body. You should use it to take paint off men.
Yeah.
And
it can't smell girly. It's got a smell of dude stuff.
Yeah, it has the smell of like burning engine oil
or manly sweat.
The shampoo that makes you stink. That's an interesting idea.
No, but it's the good stink, not the bad stink.
Yeah, the alpha stink rather than the omega one.
Can't be bringing that up here.
I didn't want to, but I felt like I had to. I really didn't want to.
Look, this is before those movies came out. There's not a single 3D CGI wolf yet. That's what we're talking about, right?
Oh god, yeah, there is a cartoon series, Alpha and Omega. Oh, what an unfortunately named series.
We'll explain to you, y'all what Alpha and Omega is later when you're older.
Yeah,
dear listener.
It may very well come up later in this comic. We've got no way of knowing.
We have no way of knowing.
Yeah. Similarly, on the masculinity thing, we have at one point, the boys eat root beer and cookies for breakfast. That's a fucking champion's meal.
Yeah, that's a nobody can stop me meal.
Yeah, that's a real, like, I'm at university, and I'm not being fed by my parents anymore, so I'm gonna eat whatever the fuck I want. And it turns out that's a really bad idea, and I feel sick all the time.
Well, it's okay if you change out the root beer for White Monster. Now it's a girl dinner.
Yeah, these days that would be called boy dinner and girl dinner, depending on who was eating it. Back then, it was just frat boy shit. What would be the cookies equivalent? It'd be White Monster instead of root beer, and a cigarette, I guess, instead of a cookie, a vape, cookie flavored vape. Yeah, perfect. Danny's bicycle gets stolen. Sorry.
Yeah, we get to the very important bicycle stolen arc.
Yeah, there was a red Fuji sandblaster, according to the author. Well, I say according to the author. This also happened to Ellis, and they decided to include it in the comic, happening to Danny.
Yeah, or write what you know.
Yeah, right what you know. If that's your bicycle getting stolen, put it in there.
Yeah, it turns out it's not. It sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Can confirm, getting your bicycle stolen, not fun.
Yeah, they made a whole movie about it.
What movie is about a bicycle getting stolen?
The Bicycle Thieves, the like Italian
post-war
movie. Put a link to that in the show notes. If people haven't seen that, if you want a really like depressing watch about like post World War II, Italy, and a like struggling economy, about a guy who gets a job that requires a bicycle and then has that bicycle stolen. Real miserable watch. I recommend it.
But yeah, we get after basic, normal human feelings about bicycle stolen, and almost killing your roommate, which is normal.
Yeah. We
get Sal. Sal's here.
We get Sal. We get a chapter called Round One. It's from the future, written a few years after the fact, and then reinserted back here, chronologically,
and split up so it flows well with the story.
Yeah, it alternates back and forth between what's happening in the original like run of the comic, and then also this like later one that's about Sal. It's really cool to see how much the art improves in that time. This is something we talked about in the first episode. Sorry.
Yeah, and I don't think you've read it, but this is all colored with a mouse, just like Marathon.
I did note that down. Where did I write that? Colored by mouse. Hellish. I've tried to draw with a mouse and to like fill in stuff with a mouse. I can't imagine doing a whole comic with that. That sounds exhausting.
Although I think the Marathon guy used the trackball totally different.
Yeah, In the trackball, if you can get used to using a trackball for this kind of stuff, but a mouse is just like miserable. For context, we're referencing Craig Mullins, who did much of the like concept art for Marathon 2 and 3. We'll put that in the show notes. It's gorgeous, by the way. It's crazy that was done with a trackball in the original version of Photoshop.
It's just beautifully detailed, insane, just PC 98 quality.
Mm-hmm.
A reference no one will get. But yeah, we get some good, backstory. We start, having hints about what Sal's deal is.
Yeah, she's sad about something. She's run away from her parents to go meet with Danny again. For a few reasons I can guess, but none that are outright said.
Yeah. That she is extremely focused on how other people see her and only measures herself up to external validation. I'm sure that won't be important.
Yeah, it's I don't know. It's surprising. Yeah, it's quite sad at times. This one, it's without denigrating the original too much, it's much better. Round one, this like run of comics. It's interesting to see that the part that's being backfilled in this comic often is the like the women's story, be it Joyce or Sal or Sarah. Representative, I think, of the author in the future becoming much more like thoughtful and considerate. That the original comic was just about like Danny and Joe like fucking about, not Danny and Joe. I'm mixing up names. I apologize. Yeah, Danny and Joe.
If they had been fucking about, this would be a better comic.
Yeah, fucking about. Yeah, true. The Yowie version of this, God.
I put a pin in that,
and then they, oh god. But yeah, having mostly very manly feelings. When they are sad, it's about the women in their lives, but those women we don't really see the interiority of. We get like Joyce just kind of seems obsessed with Danny for no reason, and Sal is just very, very barely in it. So it's nice to see more of Sal and Joyce here, and to see them more fleshed out, and to see them more.
Yeah, Joyce just imprinted on Danny like a baby bird, and has now wrapped her entire self-being around him.
Yeah, it's really sad. I did genuinely feel sad at her sort of breaking down at the thought of like Sal taking him back from her.
Mm-hmm.
I do like it makes it makes her like make more sense, I guess. That she's just kind of like extremely lonely.
Yeah.
And this is a way to like have a relationship with someone, even if it's like,
yeah, it's giving her some interiority.
Yeah,
After she told her parents that her and Danny were proposed.
Yeah, she lies about Danny proposing to her. It's a fucking crazy thing to lie about.
It's okay. Danny's a pushover and will go with anything.
Mm-hmm. We will
also we get a fight scene in the backstory between the Joyce and Sal.
Yes, I was going to bring this up. The reason this is called Round 1 is because these two characters fight later in a strip called Round 2. And there's a link to it, and I skipped ahead. And there's boy oh boy, does there seem like a lot of plot is happening in that in the future. I didn't know what was happening, but some things were mentioned that I didn't understand.
It's always a good sign. That means
also it was in full color.
yeah, there's colors in the future too.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get to see just Sal just grab Joyce by the ankle mid kick and slam her against the door.
She really fucking flings her around.
And then Joyce just breaks down crying, begging her not to go see Danny.
Yeah, it's that specific panel I mentioned that did make me quite sad.
Yep, and then like a normal person, Sal just climbs the side of the building.
Yeah, she goes in like Batman. She goes up the drain pipe.
It's a pretty good paneling too, where she's there's a long vertical panel of her climbing as the end point between four panels.
Mm. Yeah, the paneling is much more impressive. The silhouetting, especially. It's really cool. It's really cool to see this little glimpse of the art in the future. As I keep saying, sorry to keep harping on it.
Yeah. Although we do get a panel that I'm definitely going to use later in the old version of things could be weirder. Asterisks. Asterisks. Foreshadowing. It's important you know that it's foreshadowing.
Mm-hmm. And at the end of this, with when Sal gets into Danny's room, we get the same panel redrawn, which is awesome.
Yes.
We get like the old set of comics and this new one are literally like running simultaneously to each other, like meet. And we get the two panels right next to each other, and it's really cool to see that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like to reference something that came out last week. It's like Pulp Fiction. It's like when the stories cross into each other. It's great.
Yeah, it's wonderful. I love when there's interconnected stories.
Mm-hmm.
So it's so wild to just see the direct improvement of the art.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've got this whole like, you know, comedy of errors with Sal in the room with Danny and Joyce with her parents downstairs trying to figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm. We get a line from Joyce. It's been 3 seconds. Where is he? Mood. Yeah. I understand her in that moment. Got another Beast Wars mention. I don't know when that happens, but it does get mentioned.
Yeah. Well, it was during this time period. The next 3 years. It's Beastie's time. But we see Alex again, and we get the saddest Arthur the comment that has ever existed.
This is hysterical. So yeah, Danny goes with Sal to try and avoid Joyce. Goes to see Alex, who's on the computer, and then they also meet the author David Willis, who's I guess Alex's roommate, who is sitting alone in the dark doing nothing. And is sad about the relationship. It's kind of incredible.
That threatens to jump out a window if they don't get a girlfriend. And then David Willis's mom was like, "Oh yeah, his birthday's coming up. I'm gonna call one of the local shops and be like, hey, print the Roomies comic for whatever the day is onto the cake and send it to my boy. I'll cheer him up." And this is the one that gets sent.
That's a real I've got to turn my life around ass moment. That's like I've got to get myself in order. I've drawn the most depressing thing imaginable, and then an entire birthday cake has shown up for me to eat alone with that on it. Like Jesus Christ.
Yeah, the final comment from Willis is, "This was the year I probably should have been on antidepressants."
Yeah, I'm glad you are now.
Yeah,
I'm glad you're doing better.
Yeah. But yeah, after hiding out of the room, they climb out of the window. Danny falls and dies. We can wish. And also Danny finds out that hey, why can't I get Sal seem to get in touch with Sal's parents? I'm sure that won't come up again.
I'm sure it won't. I'm being sarcastic. I'm sure it will, and I'm interested to find out. I'm curious where that plotline is going.
I ain't being sarcastic, but it's for a bit.
Yeah, I love doing bits here.
But hey,
I've got a few other. Sorry.
Hey, what do you feel about art history?
Yeah, we get Joe and Joyce's art journey. I genuinely don't know what these people are studying. I suppose Joyce is studying art as a minor. I don't know what the rest of the characters are studying. I'm so confused. It just never comes up.
I can tell you what they study 15 years from now, but that's a different universe.
And it doesn't have to be in here if you're doing like a college or university like comedy thing. I don't actually need to see the classes because that's probably the most boring and least funny part of it. It's just very funny to me how little it is even addressed in this.
Yeah, I think we can count the number of times anyone's inside a classroom in one hand over the 3-year run.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to banter when you're in a classroom.
It really is. You've got to listen to a lecturer, and he's boring. You'd much rather be I don't know, perving on women, I guess. That's funny. And we get some of that in this art history one. We get a line from Joe, "Thank God for peepholes, that's wretched." Yes, if there's any lesbian sister stuff, Joe would do well on Tumblr. I'd follow. They look at the like French Revolutionary painting. It's on the cover of Coldplay's Viva La Vida. I'd follow any chick falling out of a dress. Kind of real for that.
Yeah,
he shouldn't
and
say
funny
it,
drunk
but
man.
He's right.
Everybody loves the funny drunk man.
Yeah. We get a line I don't quite get here about skipping the section on Japanese art. I don't know what's up with that. I don't know if that's a joke about anime or a joke about like manga, or if it's some other thing. But I did note it down.
It might just be that's what happened in the class too.
It could very well be,
because this little short section is drawn for a class. This is a school project we are experiencing from the distant year of 1999. You know, distant as in 1 year in the future from where we're reading, but
yeah. Oh, speaking of, we forgot the one important world event that happened between last episode and this episode of the run of comics. Between now and then, I was born.
Oh wow! Yay!
The most important thing that can happen. I'm brand new in the world at the time of this comic being made.
You're the weest of babies.
I'm the weest of babies. I'm going goo goo gaga, etc. I'm growing up simultaneous to this comic being written. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And eventually we'll meet, much like salad and Danny meat, to separated by time.
Yeah.
When I get to this comic and our art styles will clash.
True, baby art styles are very different.
We get after the art journey. I don't know if you had more notes on that. Sorry.
I don't. Go ahead.
Okay. We get a single strip that is a Spike comic. That someone asked the author to write about their own annoying roommate. That is Joyce's roommate complaining about the old person they were bunked with, and it's just what that annoying person in real life was doing. Yep. That's crazy. It's really funny.
Yeah, it's
what an amazingly passive aggressive thing to do.
Yeah, the world is full of so many things.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, we're getting towards the end of the school year, and gotta save the cool next plot line with Ruth. We gotta save all that time for that. So, yeah, I guess we're just gonna break the fourth wall.
Yep. Okay, it's as I said in the recap, a classic thing for comics to do, especially webcomics, is to acknowledge the existence of the author, of the fact that this is a webcomic, and of other comics that are right next to yours.
Yep. Speaking of, since we got to where other comics show up, what if we had the pictures of the actual college newspaper?
Oh my god. Oh, this is so cool to see. This is what it looked like.
Yeah.
Whereas there's roomies.
Yeah. You had stuff that were syndicated and just stuff college students were doing. Mm-hmm. All mixed up in there together.
Oh my god. Top right there, that's Life in Hell. That's the Mac Groening comic.
Yeah. That it was the time.
That was the time. Oh, there's horoscopes right next to the Roomies comic, which is probably what inspired that little run of comics about the horoscopes. They might as well have been fucking pointing to the right to say,
"Yep,
we hate this shit. We think it's dumb."
Yeah, there's a whole collection of them you could look at later. We'll put it in the show notes.
Mm.
Yeah, but we get a lot of little crossovers, little gags to the other comics that were there, and then we have Danny sucking again. He is very much like, oh no, you you can't hook up. You don't know anything about each other. And it's like, and? You point, little baby boy? Yeah, and then we just, oh yeah, and it would be funny if the little alien showed up again.
Yep, I got that in all caps. Alien! Exclamation mark. Question mark. Yeah, the aliens show up to steal some shit.
Yeah,
they get another dig in about the Spice Girls, I believe.
Yeah. Specifically, what the aliens are trying to steal is just pizza. They steal a pizza box.
Yeah, but there's only crust left.
Yeah, and at the very end, people got to go home. They go home in Ultra Car.
Yeah, aliens. Sorry.
We'll explain Ultra Car in the future.
I was going to say I don't quite get what Ultra Car is, but I assume it's going to come up.
Yep. Yeah. What anything we missed in your notes?
Yeah, the last section of this is basically the comic just sort of like spinning its wheels, trying to like get through the end of the year so it can start up a bigger storyline, which I'm excited for. I'm excited to see what that is. I got Joe and Sarah Hart. I don't buy this relationship for a second, and it seems neither do they. They also sort of realize after, hey, we didn't have much in common, despite it being a love at first sight situation. I'm excited to see where that goes. For the fourth wall breaking section, cleverly inserting critiques of my story into my story, and then a little smug face. This is a very good thing to do if you're writing a comic which has issues, which is especially about the representation of women, which is just to write those women talking about that, and then no one can critique you because you've beaten them to it.
Yeah, you put a lampshade on it, so you're like, I know this is happening.
Yeah, I was going to say this about the about round one. That as nice as it is to see the women's story like fleshed out, it would be nice if they they were still able to pass the Bechdel test, as it were, and talk about something other than a man. If we were doing a more thorough history of like underground comics, we would have brought up Alison Bechdel. But I recommend checking out her stuff, the listener, if you haven't read it. That's where the Bechdel test comes from. It comes from her writing a strip where the two characters in it talk about that phenomenon of watching a movie where two women never talk to each other. Or if they do, it's always about a man.
Yeah. And just a, hey, why does this keep happening?
Yeah.
But look, little Willis had only recently learned about the Bechdel test.
Mm-hmm. But it's nice that he has learned. I'm excited again. Yeah. Sorry to keep phrasing it like that, but it is true.
I'm
looking forward to this.
Thank you, his literature teacher.
Yeah. We get another little bit of Leonardo DiCaprio hate, which I didn't note down the first time it happened because I assume it was just Joe being Joe. But it comes up again. The characters in this, Joe and Danny, and thus by extension the author, don't seem to like Leonardo DiCaprio, and I don't quite know why. I mean, there's a reason now that we don't like him.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that was not the reason people didn't like him back then. It was because he was a pretty boy.
Yeah, he was someone that women liked. As that came up before, if women like something, it's bad.
Also, that was far enough in the past that him dating 19 and 20-year-olds was like, yeah, that's a reasonable age gap.
Yeah, he's dating people his own age. What a normal thing to do. And then I've got one last note here. Poor Joyce, sad face. I can't remember what quite inspired that, but something about it made me feel bad about her. I think it was her being just like mistreated by the other characters.
Put in that for the rest of the comic.
Oh boy,
of poor Joyce, sad face.
Oh no, I don't want bad things to happen to her. So she's so nice. She's very repressed and very naive. But I hope things get better for her. I know it'll be a while. I've got a note, as I said, specifically was thinking about the genre of comedy. We have a character who is happy and stupid, who is naive, as I said, and that everyone just hates and is mean to them. And that's the joke, is that they're stupid, and everyone else isn't. I'm thinking of Caboose from Red vs. Blue as another example of that around this time, shortly after it. that was a very, very cheap way to do comedy. That feels less common now, but it was very prominent then.
Yeah, that's just one. Look, you need cheap gags if you're. And what's the cheapest gag we can afford? As we know, gags cost money.
They do. They are very expensive. It's so expensive you can't even afford a drawing tablet. You have to color it with a mouse.
Well, do you know how expensive they were in 1998?
Oh, a drawing tablet? I can't imagine. I imagine they would they were like as expensive as a car.
Yeah, and this was before you would have a picture on the drawing tablet.
Mm-hmm.
Just a blank slate. You wiggle a pen over.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I think that's everything.
I think that's it. We got to the end of year one. Well done.
Yay!
We will put a link in the show notes where we started and where we end.
Yep, and next week we're starting year 2, fall.
Year 2. Oh boy.
We get to meet Ruth.
We get to meet Ruth.
Something that means nothing to you.
It doesn't mean anything to me, but I'm intrigued because the name has come up a few times in our discussions outside of this.
Yeah. Can't wait to see what your feelings are.
I can't wait either. I'm really enjoying doing this podcast and talking about this webcomic. Thank you again, Willis, for writing this and for archiving it, and thank you, the listener, for listening to us talk about this dumb webcomic.
Any suggestions for the audience, the listener?
Any suggestions for the audience? What to read?
What to read?
Damn, I should have thought of something. Besides the things we already mentioned.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll do something for you.
Oh, I've got something actually. Yeah, but you go first.
Go ahead.
No, because it might be the same thing. You go first.
Okay. All right. The audience should read Little Nemo and Crazy Cat.
Mm-hmm.
One is a beautiful experience into dreamland, and the other one is a bunch of surrealist slapstick. Now, what more do you need than surrealist slapstick? Come on.
What more do you need?
What you got?
I have a recommendation. It's a webcomic by a mutual friend of ours called Paperworld, which we'll put a link to, the webtoon link. It's about. It doesn't have any slapstick comedy in it, so I guess it's not as good as Crazy Cat. But it does have a stick figure who's a lesbian. So if you want some good Yuri, I'd recommend Paperworld by our friend Fi.
Yeah, if you want to see someone who's a stick figure kiss someone who's not a stick figure, it's for you. Yeah. And they're both girls.
And they're both girls.
All right. I think that about wraps it up.
Yeah, I think that does it for the episode. Thank you, everyone, for listening. See you soon.
Yeah. Thank you, listener, for listening. We will see you probably 2 weeks' time.
Bye-bye.
I save the day. I see the future coming, but I don't know what to do with you now that you're mine. And everything's ending, we don't have the time. I must have been out of my mind, 'cause I finally have something I don't wanna lose. And everything's come down to what I will choose, but I still just